Greetings, scholars. I just wanted to make a little note about my AI policy and how it's not just because I'm an old-fashioned fuddy-duddy, even if I am, but what it means to use a tool versus have it replace your own collective thoughts. So AI can be a useful tool, but it is not a replacement for you thinking and expressing and communicating yourself. It can help with any of the skills that you have already mastered. But just like having sort of a bad assistant, you've always got to know and double check the work for whether or not you estimate that it's correct, whether or not it's right. We have an example here that just popped up that the Chicago Sun-Times published a reading list for summer, the must reads, and it was AI generated, and a whole bunch of the books just don't exist. It was made up by a robot who did a bad job. So the citations were there, they looked real, but the books didn't exist. And so the author had AI create it and didn't double check the sources to make sure that these things existed. The editor also didn't double check the work. The publisher, it all made it through. And then people are reading the Sun-Times and they're like, oh, that's a great idea. And it doesn't exist. No one curated the best books to read this summer. No one read the best books to read this summer and then formulated opinion and gave you a knowledgeable suggestion. Everything that goes into that kind of reading list was skipped. So this summer reading list looks like the thing that you're expecting of people reading a bunch of books, taking them in, deciding what is a good read for a particular context and group of people and time and place. All of this very deep, complex thought. This is a mimicking like cardboard cutout of a real person, if that makes sense. It looks like a reading list, but it's not. And all of the thought that should have gone into a real reading list didn't. It's a fake. AI can be used to start the resource finding process when you begin to research. It can give you some sources or some ideas, but you need to be the human who double checks your assistant's work. And there is a serious problem with what are called hallucinations. We have hallucinated citations, which look like a citation, much like the summer reading list, that are just nonsense. It is an aggregate scraping tool, and that is the difference between thinking. So you essentially create depth of knowledge. You learn about something, you make connections, you read different things, you live your life and you experience things. You learn things, you share things and communicate. People communicate back with you, and you build this depth of knowledge about things that you have paid attention to. And when you're asked a small question about it, you can dip into that depth of knowledge and pick the right thing to answer this particular question in that moment. And that's knowledge. AI uses word association and scrapes and skims the internet just looking for words. The AI research tool cannot differentiate or distinguish. What I mean to get across is human thought has a depth to it with a web of connections made from a variety of different ways of learning. And while the computer can create something that looks just like that, it's a fraud. It is a fake. It just looks just like real thinking or looks just like real research. Some of it might be correct, but until you look, until you check, the thing that it created is just meaningless. As for composition and writing classes, I make it very clear that any of the generative work cannot be done with AI. And so what that means is the actual thinking and writing. So you reading the work and having an idea about it, having questions about it, being offended, inspired, whatever it is, your response is then the thing that you generate. If you have AI read the text that I assigned you and barf out a discussion thread, you neither learned nor thought nor attempted to express thoughts. The robot pretended to do it for you. That is the death of human intellect. It can begin research for you, but treat it like a stupid assistant. And you need to know better. You need to make the distinguishing differentiation for what you choose and what you don't. You need to curate. And then writing as a process. You think some thoughts and then you go to express it to someone. You begin writing and drafting something. You are thinking while you are writing. You are choosing words. You are adding and developing your voice in your text. And this process has to come from you in order for you to develop it. If you think ChatGPT writes better than you, I guarantee you you're wrong, because 90% of the writing on the web is bad. So if you've got the middle aggregate mean of bad, it's bad. It's a whole lot of words that say almost nothing. And it's very easy to spot. And it's disappointing because no one learned anything. The product is not the point. Engaging in the thought and engaging in writing as an expression of your thoughts and developing that voice and how you're going to craft that meaning. It's a meaning making process, the actual act of writing. And it's an important one. If AI continues to develop to be a better tool to help intellectuals find resources, connect with one another, perhaps polish up the grammar, great. It is a great tool. For example, in these videos, I have AI cut out silences. A lot of times it cuts off the ends of my words, so I have to go in and correct the AI silence snipper to make these shorter videos for you. But it's a nice time-saving tool because I'd say 50% of the time, it just cuts out some silence. The other 50% of the time, I have to go back and fix the errors that the AI has created, but that'll get better. I had the idea. I wanted to express it to you. I sat down in front of a camera. I brought up a couple of examples that I thought of, and I spoke to you. I am now using AI to do some of the grinding of the video editing, and that's a tool, that's support. If you use Grammarly to help you with punctuation, grammar, it may offer word choices. Oftentimes, Grammarly will offer me a word choice, and I'll say, no, that's not what I mean at all. Dismiss. And that is a tool, and that is the proper use of AI. It will get better at all of these things. And what we need to do as thinkers is to really emphasize it getting better at how it supports our intellectual endeavors. Don't have it read for you because it won't tell you what the thing said. It'll hallucinate, which is another way of saying lie. You need to be developing these skills. You need to be the thinker. And it's great to have some help, but fundamentally, the actual production process needs to be yours. And finally, I will get off my soapbox. Writing research and publishing my work. I've been told AI, since you have these publications, you give it the point, you dump in the research, and it'll write the paper in your voice. It'll write it like you wrote it. I create the meaning at the moment that I write it. Until I've written that sentence, even I don't know what that sentence is going to look like. So how could the robot know what I was going to think at that moment when I created that meaning? It's impossible. So by definition, it could do a fake. It might even get really good at faking me, but it's never going to create. It's never going to replace my thoughts, my intellectual contribution. And so my courses are there to teach you to think and teach you to communicate those thoughts. And don't ever give up those opportunities to be in control of the knowledge consumption and the knowledge creation, because that is the intellectual process. And that's never going to be replaced by the fake things that kind of look like it. You develop your voice as part of the process of writing. There is no such thing as a synonym in the English language. because every word has some nuance, some context, some connotations. It means slightly different than a word that means something similar. So you making those decisions in even just word choice, it's honing down your expression of thought. And that is the thing that you need to fight hard to never give up. The future is higher level management. The future is mastery. And that is a whole different world than any generation before you has had to enter the workforce. All of those starting level clerical sorts of jobs are going to be handled by AI. Someone who knows enough to be able to double check, make sure that something's appropriate, make sure that it's real, knows how to find primary resources. That's going to be the new entry level, just up here. And so building these skills now where you are doing the invention and you're using tools to create these closed captions, all the subtitles on this video, AI, the video trimming. There are a ton of ways where AI can save you time so that you can do the thinking. And the simple rule for what is acceptable and what isn't is who's doing the thinking, who's doing the reading, who's doing the writing. If the answer is you, then any use of AI after that to support you in that endeavor probably sounds about right. I want to make sure that you're at that higher level that you need to be. If AI is doing the thinking for you, no one is going to need you to run the AI thinking. AI can already do that by itself. We need someone who can manage the AI assistants. And that is what I am hoping to help you become.